There's something about being far from everything. No streetlights, no background noise, just space. And when something feels wrong out there, there's no one close enough to confirm it or help this happen. But before we unveil this story, comment below where you are watching from. And if you enjoy it with the moment of joy, don't forget to subscribe. About 2 years ago, I went camping alone at a forest reserve a few hours outside the city. It wasn't completely remote. There were marked campsites, but they were spaced far enough apart that you couldn't see or hear other people. I arrived late around sunset. There was only one available site left at the end of a dirt path. It looked normal. Fire pit, flat ground, nothing unusual. The only thing I noticed was that the ground looked slightly disturbed, like something had been dragged across it recently. I didn't think much of it. I set up my tent, made a small fire and turned in early, sometime in the night. I woke up. No clear reason, just awake at first. Everything seemed normal. Wind moving through the trees. Insects quiet but not silent. Then I noticed something. Footsteps slow, deliberate circling. Not close enough to touch the tent, but not far either. I held still, listening. The footsteps stopped then. After a few seconds, a soft sound, like someone exhaling right outside the tent. I didn't move, didn't speak. After what felt like minutes, the steps continued, slowly moving away into the woods. I didn't sleep the rest of the night at sunrise. I packed up quickly. I just wanted to leave before I did. I checked the area around my tent. There were footprints, barefoot, multiple sets, and they didn't just pass through, they circled the tent over and over. This one happened when I went camping with a friend. We picked a spot near a quiet lake. No cabins nearby, no visible trails, just water and trees. It was the kind of place where sound carries at night, even small noises feel amplified. We set up on one side of the lake. Across from us was just forest. No signs of people around 11 p.m. We noticed a light on the opposite. On side it wasn't moving much, just there like a flashlight pointed toward the water. We figured someone else had camped out there, didn't think anything of it, but after a while it started to feel off. The light didn't move, like someone walking, didn't flicker like a fire. It stayed at the same height, same position for over an hour. Eventually my friend shouted across the lake, just something like, "Hey!" The light turned off instantly, not dimmed, not moved, just gone. We both kind of laughed it off, but neither of us said anything after that. We went into the tent. Not long after, at some point in the night, I woke up. The tent was quiet, too quiet. Then I noticed something, a faint glow outside through the fabric, same light. But now it wasn't across the lake anymore. It was on our side, and it wasn't far. It stayed there for maybe 10 seconds, then slowly faded out. We left before sunrise. Neither of us went back to that lake. This is the only time I've gone camping and genuinely felt like I shouldn't be there. I went on a short solo trip just one night. The campsite was more secluded than I expected. No signal, no nearby campers by the time it got dark. The entire area felt closed in. Not because of anything. I could see just a feeling. Around midnight, I was lying in my tent awake, not scared, just not asleep. Then I heard something, a voice, faint, distant. I couldn't make out what it was saying. At first, I assumed it was someone far off. Sound travels weird at night. But then it got clearer. It wasn't random talking. It was repeating something, the same word over and over. I focused, trying to understand it, and then it clicked. It was my name, quiet, almost like a whisper carried by the wind, but clear enough. I sat up listening, and the voice stopped. Complete silence then, from a completely different direction. The same voice closer, saying my name again. At that point, I didn't try to investigate. I didn't respond. I just stayed completely still until morning. When I packed up, I noticed something strange. There were no other cars in the area, no signs that anyone else had camped nearby, no footprints, nothing, just my tent. When you're out there away from everything, there's no way to know if what you're hearing is normal or not, and sometimes it's better not to find out. The next trip I took was with a group of friends who were all new to camping. We found a small clearing deep in the woods, far from the road, and far from any other campers. We arrived in the late afternoon and spent some time exploring the area. The trees were dense and the canopy thick, so the light faded quickly when we set up our tents. I noticed a faint path leading further into the forest. We joked about following it in the morning, but something about it felt off. As night fell, the wind started to pick up, and the forest became alive with sounds: twigs, snapping leaves, rustling, owls calling. We built a small fire and told stories, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling that had settled over the campsite around midnight. One of my friends mentioned hearing something moving outside her tent. She swore it was footsteps pacing slowly in the dark. I didn't hear anything at first, but then I noticed a shadow moving just beyond the firelight. It didn't have a clear shape, just a vague human form that seemed to drift between the trees. We held our breath and watched it linger for a moment before it vanished into the darkness. When we went to check the surrounding area, I found small impressions in the soft ground, like someone had been walking barefoot, but the prints didn't lead anywhere. They stopped abruptly, as if whoever or whatever had made them had disappeared into thin air. None of us slept much that night, and by the morning we all agreed we would pack up and leave quickly. There was an unspoken understanding that something in those woods had been aware of us. A few months later, I went camping near a mountain lake known for its remoteness. The area was mostly untouched and accessible only by a rough trail that wound through steep cliffs and dense undergrowth. I set up camp near the water and spent the afternoon fishing. The lake was calm and the silence was absolute. As night fell, I noticed lights flickering across the water. I thought they were from distant campers, but as I watched, they didn't move or change in intensity. They simply appeared and disappeared in a way that didn't make sense. I tried to rationalize it as reflections from the moon or clouds, but the pattern was too deliberate. By midnight, I was certain someone was on the opposite shore, but there was no sound, no smoke, no tents. Nothing, just the lights moving erratically and then stopping completely. I fell asleep uneasily and woke a few hours later to a faint tapping on the metal poles of my tent. It was rhythmic and slow, almost like someone was testing to see if I was awake. I stayed completely still until dawn, then packed up quickly before the sun was fully up. I never went back to that lake. On another occasion, I went camping along a narrow canyon with a river running through it. The location was known for being isolated and quiet. The first night I heard the river flowing and thought nothing of it. But as darkness settled, the canyon seemed to close and the sound of water became distorted, echoing unnaturally off the rocks. The shadows cast by the cliffs appeared longer than they should have, and there were shapes moving at the edges of my vision. Nothing solid, but something that didn't belong. I heard voices too faint to understand, just on the edge of perception. Sometimes whispering, sometimes singing, but never clearly intelligible. I never saw anyone. I never saw what was making the sounds, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched all night. I stayed in the tent, trembling, waiting for morning. When the light finally arrived, I packed up my gear and left immediately. The canyon seemed empty and calm once again, as if nothing had happened, but I knew it had, and I knew I hadn't been alone. Another trip took me to a campsite along a ridge overlooking a valley. The wind was strong there and carried sounds from far below. As I settled into my tent, I noticed the way the trees bent in the wind, creating shadows that danced strangely across the ground. I kept hearing a faint humming. At first I thought it was the wind through the branches, but the sound was too rhythmic and too deliberate. Soon I realized it was coming from lower down the slope. The humming didn't match the terrain or any animal I could recognize. I listened for hours. It would start and stop unpredictably. Sometimes low and distant, sometimes close and clear enough to make the hairs on my arms stand up. I never saw anyone. I never saw the source of the sound, and by dawn, it disappeared completely. I packed up and left quickly, knowing I wouldn't return. Each of these trips taught me something about the Woods about the isolation, about being alone or almost alone in a place where no one can hear you, and yet you are never truly alone. The woods have a way of revealing things that are impossible to explain. Sounds, shapes, movements that shouldn't be there, feelings that can't be described. Sometimes it's only after leaving that you realize how aware the forest was of your presence and how you were never truly in control. The uncertainty lingers long after the fire has died, long after the tents are packed away, long after the quiet roads lead you back to civilization. It lingers in the corner of your mind, reminding you that some things are best left undiscovered.